Hey, you beautiful human. In this video, what I want to do is just give you a little update on what's been going on in my world lately. I've been shaken in many ways and have been going through some stuff that are positive, right? Like because of the work that I've put in and having shown up here with all these little videos and on LinkedIn and whatever. But this month was a little bit in limbo because we were moving to our new place. So we're finally here. We had some builders where there was some building work, so we were in this transition period where myself, six pets, my daughter, and my wife were basically living in two worlds, right? Because we had the old place, and then we have this place that we're just moving into. And thankfully, because of the systems and everything, like clients, I've been taking client calls a little bit on the go at this house, at the other house. We've been moving, and we had a moving company come through. And we also did a lot of the moving ourselves because we wanted to give it that time since the house that we had was sort of our first home, our forever home, and then things shifted. So we really wanted to hone into that. So I just want to talk over what led to this moment, what I was doing. Maybe you're at the beginning of your journey or somewhere in the journey, wondering what I was wondering too, because in summary, what happened is we bought our dream home. And I was literally in tears yesterday from the old house, the house that bought or built this house. And if I just show you around, like there's a pool, it's two floors, there's whatever it is that is here that I'll probably do another video on later. But I feel like I'm living in an Airbnb. I'm in a little bit of disbelief that this is my life right now. So I shed a lot of tears coming from a family that didn't have a lot. We were raised, my mum was a single mom with myself and two sisters. My dad had a different marriage where he had three kids over there. I was the firstborn, and we were fortunate to have what we had, and we had each other, but we lived with a little bit less. So there was this sort of scarcity that was ingrained in me from a young age where mentors of mine have previously told me I spoke from a place of a wounded 7-year-old, like all those money wounds and things that I had. And the scarce signals were derived from there. So it doesn't matter how successful I was at the agency that I folded. We had 12 people in there. We had 200K months, 100K months. We were doing about 500K a year in revenue over the years on average. But there was always the on button, right? There was always that anxiety, that fear that this was not enough, that I needed to do more, and money was just going to disappear. And I lived with this ever-growing anxiety. And now I'm 33 in a couple of days, but at age 26 I was diagnosed with high blood pressure, and I've been on the pill for since then, and I will be for the rest of my life. And that needed a lifestyle change. And I was somebody who just counted numbers and numbers of sales and clients and KPIs. And I thought it was always the end of the world if I didn't meet the number. And if one month was a 90K month, not a 100K month, I would beat myself up. And, I lived in this false state. And when I was diagnosed with high blood pressure, and at the time my grandfather, he passed away, was diagnosed with cancer, and I almost missed those last moments. I was like, something internally hit me. And this was before having my daughter, she's now 1, where I said, this needs to change. What am I really worth? What am I doing this all for? And I had some friends I was chatting to, and my mentors, and I started creating a little vision board of what would be true, and my nervous system gave in. It was like, no, you need to work to earn that number, and making it as easy as you just said is impossible because you're not going to put in the hours. And you have to have sales calls, you have to have a pipeline, you have to just pretty much show up with clenched butt cheeks and be fully booked out all the time. And even the coaching programs and the courses I was buying at the time were like, you got to grow Instagram and you got to have a sales team and you have setters and closers and book your calendar. And like internally, I was a creator, right? Like my first degree's in jazz guitar performance. I got it in Cal State in California. Lived in Long Beach, was such a, long-haired hippie dude who loved creating from the heart and being surrounded by people and love and care and just instruments and vibes and all of that. And I'm like, you just built yourself a little rat hole, which was ironic because I quit my 9-to-5 corporate job to create this freedom in the first place, only to figure out that I built something of my own. And I remember one of those first few times I invested $5K in a program, and I literally grabbed a piece of paper and I said, they're telling me to do all of this. And I wrote it on one side, coincidentally, and on the other side, I just wrote what I wanted to do. And it was like, I didn't know at the time what these personality tests were and what it was saying. And, it could have been Zodiac. I don't know. And I was like, I want to write emails. I want to write a post. I want to make offers. I want to have a funnel. I want to not do outbound and not take calls. And I want to work 3 days a week. And all of this stuff that seemed impossible to my nervous system, but were very possible as a model. But the model I was adapting was something that worked for somebody else. I didn't think once that I could create a model that suited myself as somebody who is multi-passionate. And I talk about this all the time. I'm like, this is the era of the artist, the athlete, and the entrepreneur, where you get to create an intersection of your interests, right? Like, and nowadays, funnily, I know I'm rearing off, but like, I've bought myself barefoot shoes, right? And I'm running my next marathon barefoot. And that is the athlete in me. And I'm playing more music and I'm creating and I'm, realizing that creation doesn't have to be pen and paper and being good at like physically drawing art. It could be the expression of words and music and the way you show up and take a walk creatively, right? And that is the era of the artist. And then the entrepreneur is the person who wants to make money and, design a business that now, is more life-centered. It's a machine that feeds life, not the other way around, not a life that is fed by the machine. But all that to say, when I had that moment, I just did the opposite of what I was told. And it was the first time that I was able to formulate a business that seemed like it was mine. So I decided, I think it was 2023, when I showed up on LinkedIn and I just said, I'm going to write a post a day, I'm going to write an email a day, and I'm going to make an offer every single day for as long as I'm alive in that moment. And I did that. And fast forward now, that was the strategy that got us this beautiful place that we get to call home, which is surreal to me. So I was in a little room. It was an 80 square meter house, small place, 2-3 bedrooms. One was a laundry room. I had my 6 pets and my wife and now my daughter. We were living in there and I spent hours crunching, taking calls, doing that remodeling, creating Modern Maker. And that was the house that bought this dream house, right? So to me, it was such a heartfelt moment because the reason I'm in disbelief is I have friends, I have family, I have people around me who, they work a 9-to-5, they live what is a traditional life. And here I am, obviously I'm so grateful, but I'm like, there are people that are unfortunate and here I am in disbelief in what this thing has created. And there's a bigger vision to it than that for me right now because it allows, before it felt like it was all me. And then after the diagnosis of my blood pressure, it became all about what can I give to the community, to people? How, my grandfather, bless him, used to say, when you've had enough to eat, feed others. And my God, it's such a strong feeling for me because I finally, now I have over 300 clients and I have a big community and I'm able to see the impact that people can have from the models and the system that we've created. And it's like you build a marketing driven business that did what I once wrote on that piece of paper, right? And it's such a beautiful feeling seeing not just the numbers, not just the financials. And I think of myself as somebody who helps people build leverage, right? It's not just the money, it is the freedom to be able to work 3 days a week, or people coming up to me saying, hey man, I finally bought my wife a car for Christmas, or this Christmas is going to be special because of the presents I'm able to buy for my family, or I've had a dry month, and all of a sudden I'm able to do this and do that, and the impact that this had. So it brings, it's a very sentimental piece for me, because I am able to speak on behalf of a collective, right? There's a gentleman called Nick Huno who calls this a transpersonal brand, I think it is, like not just a personal brand, but speaking on behalf of a collective message. It's almost like a religious or secular thing where, when you believe in religion or whatever it is, you believe in a greater power, and many people come together to believe that one thing. And for me, modern maker was my own identity, like this hidden shadow of work or wherever it is, because I couldn't just box myself and say I am a email marketer or a business coach or an offer maker or whatever it is. I was just Jacob. I'm a girl dad, I'm a husband, I'm a lover of music, a creative, an athlete. I'm all of those things. And yes, I use these three parts of a model to earn some money. And there are 8 billion people in the world. I just need 100 people to believe in this model and come my way, and we will, be free this way. And that was that belief. That was that. I think it's that transpersonal element of it, where I just had a philosophy and that was it. And now people follow that same philosophy. But the mechanism of just one post, one email, one offer every single day has me sitting here in what feels like an Airbnb and trying to embrace that this is reality. So it's probably one of my most honest takes, because somebody who was raised with less, it's almost like I latched on this identity that I didn't allow myself to accept that this is now reality. This is now what can be. And now you get to have a pool, and you get to have this little doggo here, and you get to raise a family that has more than what you had, and you can be at level 2 or 3 or whatever this is in the journey. But it's this, one of the sides is the disbelief, where I'm having to come to terms with it's all the hard work, it's all of the stuff you put in that got you here, but also now that I'm having this very, very strong pull towards helping others and community. And over Christmas we fed over 300 people from the Modern Maker Profits in memory of Granddad. He lived in a place called Paralimni, which is in Cyprus, that directly translates to near the lake or next to the lake. He was an immigrant from the Turkish invasion in 1974, and he started selling cigarettes, right? One cigarette each, peer to peer, and then built what he built in his career. So in his name, he always, because he sold catering equipment. Oh, I'm getting emotional. He sold catering equipment to people, and after retiring and whatever, he would go to this place called Kepa, which is like the elderly people, and he would give pots and pans and cutlery and this and that. And over the last 5 years I've been sending them from what was one meal to now 300 meals every year in memory of Apu. And that was what kickstarted, the vessels of Modern Maker, and trying to get other people to make things the modern way, the same way my grandfather put together, sold cigarettes and then found his way into the hospitality sector. But even our ancestors, the Greeks, built the Parthenon brick by brick. The Egyptians built the pyramids. What was brick by brick? And now the modern makers of today stack together digital bytes of information and tools and systems to create our version of our pyramids. And for me, being able to express that is almost surreal because, you know, you get builders, you get plumbers, you get people who work day in, day out. And we're so fortunate to be able to stack together digital bytes and sell ideas and give insights, you know, in bits of text and get people to follow that and make more money. Like, you know, being able to say Modern Maker has amalgamated 4 million, well, close to 5 million now, 4.7 million in client wins, and me being able to say, you know, this was a $500,000 house, and, you know, exceeding what is now headed towards 2 million in revenue over the years is insane to me, right? So I don't really know where I'm going with this video. I just wanted to be messy, be myself, because there has been so many pulls left, right, and center through this time. I wanted to get a little vulnerable and express myself truly from the heart because, you know, of course, all the other videos have been strategic and there's funnels and frameworks and ways of dissecting things. But I also believe very firmly that we're at this stage where, you know, AI gives you the ability to do so much, but it has also sort of dented the way we think. And I read a little article by, not so little, an article by Dan Koh the other day that I think that the moral of that, or the TLDR version, was AI in terms of content creation is the equivalent of fast food to the brain because we learn to create average content. And this is actually the reason why I wanted to say one post, one email, one offer a day, because I had to learn the hard way. I read all of Ben Settle's emails and all the greats in terms of copywriting, and I hand wrote notes to understand prose and persuasion and, you know, links to things and all that sort of stuff, from hooks to tips to tricks to storytelling to email writing to ads to, you know, all the copy from left, right, and center. And I wrote long form for a living at the agency and embraced the difficulty of being able to think and dissect and put together things that were otherwise unknown, right? Like from a jazz musician who learned to code, to then write, to then scale, to, you know, there was no AI at the time. And I believe that AI is doing us a disservice when it comes to thinking and a very great service when it comes to building, right? So I always, like, reading Dan Koh's article the other day instigated that, because you got to put yourself through that hardship to actually make the synapses in your brain click. Otherwise, you're eating fast food and wondering why you don't have abs. It's the same in the brain, right? You got to find a project, you got to find an interest, you got to go long form and express yourself, even if it doesn't make sense and it's crap at the start. Those are the reps that allow you to have what now is the nuance, right? The ability to strategically advise, to have an opinion on something that is yours. Because, you know, remembering the coding days, I would sit for 2 hours debugging a piece of code that was missing a semicolon. But I went through hell and back to realize it was that semicolon, and I would never forget that. So nowadays, when I build apps in Claude or, you know, whatever software, I have the architect's brain by dabbling into software, right? And when I see some writing, I can tell it's good or bad, and I can tell whether it's going to convert or grow or nurture or whatever the outcome is when people send me ads and emails and whatnot, because I've done the reps, right? I've given my brain the equivalent of content vegetables and fruit and nurtured it and gave it vitamins to grow and expand. I haven't given it a bucket of KFC. So all that to say, I'm going to wrap this up here, because you have your own unique mechanism, you have your own vision and philosophy, and you too deserve whatever it is, the book, the client, the audience, the idea you have in your head that stems from a small boy or girl's belief. And to me, at the core of it, we are living in a world that has so much fear. But what gave me the kick was hope, right? In a world filled with fear, our little versions of ourselves in the past deserve the little brother, a sister, a father, a mother to hug them like this boy here, tell them it's okay, and give them hope, because a world driven by hope is so much stronger. And I know there's a modern maker in you somewhere, and you also deserve the world. And I would be curious what your take is, where you are in the journey, if any of this messy, unplanned video resonated with you, and I'd love to hear from you. But from the bottom of my heart, thank you, whether you came from LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, you've been reading my emails. Without you, this wouldn't be possible. And I'm going to do everything in my power moving forward to give, to express, to allow you to become a better version of yourself, for your family, for your friends, for humanity as a whole. So from my heart to yours, I thank you.